I think that this is an excellent lens.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emmett and professionally I am a software developer, but in my spare time I love landscape photography and making related videos here on YouTube. Recently I had the opportunity to go to Hawaii, which is where I was in the last video, and so today I'm not going to have a regular landscape photography video from there where I would, kind of take you along on the hike, because I did not have the opportunity on that trip to break out the filming equipment. However, I did have lots of photo opportunities, and so I thought that I would just show you some of my favorite photos from the trip, break down a few of them and analyze them a little bit, and just kind of highlight some of my favorites. Now, while I was there, I took over 1,000 photos, and so definitely not going to have time to show you all of those photos today, just some of my favorites of them. However, I will be hopefully posting more of them on my Instagram in the future, and so if that interests you, there'll be a link down in the description with all of my links down there, so you can go and follow me there to see some more in the future. I also will be looking at one of these photos, or a couple of these photos, probably next week, showing you some editing from them. I think show you how to kind of remove objects from your travel photos. When you're traveling, there can be a lot of other people in the photos and different things in the way that you might not want, and so I'll show you how to remove those afterwards. So if that interests you, stay tuned for that as well. Alright, so here is the first photo that I wanted to show you. I've got it pulled up on my iPad here, and this photo, actually, the reason that I wanted to show it to you is because it was a very spontaneous, unplanned photo. Normally when I take a photo, the other ones that I'll show you today, I have the camera set up or in my hand for usually a minute or several minutes, just kind of moving around, picking the right angle on the photo, setting the exposure the way that I want it, all of those different things. Lots of planning that goes into a photo, as well as maybe waiting on the light to change and things like that. Anything moving in the frame to be in just the right spot. And I didn't do any of that on this photo. This is a picture that I took out of the airplane window as we were flying in. You can see the wing of the plane at the bottom of the window, and it's just a shot that I grabbed on my phone really quick. No editing on this or anything, just this. I had no real control over it, no real planning. And the reason that I kind of wanted to show you this photo, I really like this photo. I think it's a really pretty picture. It's actually the lock screen on my phone now. And I just wanted to show you that really good photos sometimes can be very spontaneous. I tend to, and a lot of other photography YouTubers tend to talk about how we planned the photo and everything that went into getting the shot that we wanted. And a lot of good photos come out of planning, but there's just a little bit of luck that goes into even a well-planned photo, I think. And so, you might go out and you don't get good photos one day, and I guess what I'm saying is don't give up because of that. It might have just not been your day. Definitely keep at it, keep trying, and wait for those conditions to be right. Practice a little bit and wait until that day when things kind of fall out for you and come together. So I guess that's kind of my little bit of a motivational speech for the day. But moving on to the next photo, we have this picture here of a palm tree. It's a very kind of tropical photo, and I isolated the palm tree here, as you can see, against the sky. And as a software developer, I spend a lot of my time right here on my computer, and so I'm always kind of on the lookout for something that seems like it might be a good photo to put as the picture on the desktop, the wallpaper there. And so that was kind of what I had in mind when I took this shot, was just that this would look good on my computer. And so what I think this really highlights, though, is I think it shows how good the dynamic range in the Z6ii is. because this is actually just the JPEG right out of the camera. It was about 5:30 in the evening when I took this. The sun was setting at about 7 o'clock. So the light was kind of coming in at a bit of an angle. The sky is still fairly bright. It was cloudy that day, but you can see the blue peeking through over here. The light was kind of coming in this way. So you've got shadows, you've got highlights, you've got the bright sky. And I did not make any changes to this to adjust the shadows and highlights even. This is just how it came out of the camera. And I was really happy with the way that that turned out. Really pleased with how the camera performed for this kind of a photo. And so I just wanted to show you that if you have this camera or a similar camera, or if you're thinking about getting it, the dynamic range from it is pretty good. Okay, so here's the next photo, which is a picture of the ocean that I really liked along the shoreline. Now, I was up on a little bit of a cliff overlooking this, and so I was kind of looking down at the water. You got the beach here, you got some rocks, this kind of some lava rock that was along the edge there, and then you've got the water over here. And when I framed this up, what I was really trying to go for was getting roughly thirds here of the sand, of the or the rock in the middle, and the waves coming up, and then of the water out here. And so you've got these three kind of, or two kind of parallel lines. You've got these three parallel sections here of the different elements in the photo, and that gives it a nice sense of symmetry that I liked about this when I was standing there. That was kind of what was going through my mind, was I wanted to get those thirds of the different sections. So the fourth photo here is a little bit more traditional of a landscape photo looking down the beach. And so this is from a similar position on that cliffside overlooking the ocean. You've got the ocean over here, you've got the trees over here, but what I really liked in this photo was this little bit of fog right back in here. And that just gave it a nice atmosphere over there, gave it kind of a otherworldly sort of look, and that was what I really liked about it. Now on this photo I was then zoomed in a little bit more to try to capture that fog more, but over here on the left hand side you've got a lot of trees and not quite so much in the way of water over here. I felt like this made it look really heavy toward the tree side, not really show the water that much. The water doesn't pull that much weight in the photo, being brighter than the trees anyway, and just with less water being there, I really felt like the photo was really weighted quite heavily toward this side, where it almost doesn't really have that much of a subject, so I wasn't really sure if I liked that composition or not. So I actually zoomed back a little bit. There wasn't a lot of option where I was standing to move around to get at it from a different angle, but zoomed out a little bit, and with this one you've got a lot more kind of water in the frame, and I think this evens it out a little bit. If I just mark it up here, so you've got now this kind of nice line along the shore here coming up in this way, and that kind of gives your eye somewhere to draw down through the photo back to this area right here, which becomes more clear of the subject in the photo. It's a very nice tropical scene with the palm trees and stuff there. You can still see this little bit of fog in here. It's just not quite as prominent, but it's still there. It's still in the frame, and so I think that is pretty nice. It's a little bit more satisfying as a composition in my mind. And then it was a really cloudy, overcast day that day as well. And when I got the photos back, I wasn't sure about the sky in this one, but I was able to pull the highlights down, give it a little more saturation and stuff, and I think that it came out pretty nice. There's a nice blue right in there and so forth. So again, really good performance in terms of dynamic range from this camera. Took a little bit of editing on this one, but it still looks really nice. So which of these two photos, the zoomed out more or the zoomed in more looks better, I think comes down to probably the size of screen that you're viewing it on as much as anything. If you were viewing it on a larger screen, the more zoomed out photo is definitely better in terms of composition in my mind. You've got a lot more of the ocean over here, which gives more balance to the frame, and you've got a nice leading line going up there. You've got the sky is nicely kind of on the top third line there. I think this is a pretty satisfying composition to me. You might have a different opinion, but to me, I really like this composition on a big screen. On a little screen though, when you're just not seeing it as clearly, the subject is pretty far away in this photo, and I think it gets a little bit lost. And so on a small screen, I might like the more zoomed in photo a little bit better. Another thing I don't quite like about the more zoomed in photo that I didn't mention is because of where the more blue elements are in this frame, you don't have quite as much blueness when it's zoomed in. You're kind of more on the cloudy area and the waves that are coming up on the shore. So there's not as much color in that side of the frame as well. And so I really liked this much more colorful photo over here. That little bit of blue sky, the blue in the water is really nice, and a much more traditional look of what you think of when you think of Hawaii. Now, one that's not that traditional for what you think of when you think of Hawaii is going to be my last photo, which is this scene of the city right here. This is Honolulu, and it was a pretty overcast evening. This was taken right around sunset, I think, and there were just clouds all over the sky. We were getting a little bit of rain. And so, you know, it's not the traditional blue sky, blue water, but it was a really nice moody scene, and I kind of like a nice moody scene anyways. So I enjoyed seeing that. And you just have the harbor right here at the bottom, the skyline, and then these dark clouds over top. Now, I actually did not edit this photo very much either, just a little bit, but not too much. This was pretty much out of camera. However, what I did do in this photo is actually took it with the 40mm f2 lens, which was zoomed in much more like probably sections about this size, and then this was 17 photos that are stitched together as a panorama afterwards. Now, actually, previously it was like this as well, so you had this tree over here on the right hand side, and I just didn't like that very much. It seemed a little distracting over there, and so I just cropped it off of the end of the panorama to let us focus in a little bit more on the city skyline. So that is all the photos that I wanted to show you today. I have lots more photos from this trip that hopefully I will get to edit and post on my Instagram in the future. They'll probably just come out gradually over the coming months. And so if that does interest you, if you want to see those, go and follow me on Instagram. And then next week, of course, will be that editing video. So if you want to see that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss it. You can even hit the little notification bell there, and just make sure that you find out when that comes out. If you did like this video, again, don't forget to hit the like button on your way out and to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos that I'm really excited to share with you in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.